Hello, I'm the Sneezing Monkey, and today I'm going to talk about UFOs. That's a kind of weird issue, I know, weird topic, but it's been an interest of mine for a few years, and I looked at a lot of stuff about it, so I thought it might be interesting if I share some thoughts with you, because it's one of these things where nobody really knows what to think about and what right and what's not, and a lot of people ridicule it, and I just thought, I give you my thoughts on it, and maybe it helps to clarify it a little bit. So when I say UFO, what am I talking about? Basically talking about objects in the sky that are moving apparently under intelligent control. I'm not talking about a star at night that just sits there and shines very bright maybe, but not moves around. So I think that's quite important to mention that it is about something that moves in mysterious ways in the sky, basically. Of course, UFOs are a huge part of our pop culture. There are so many movies that show it in different ways and give you different ideas about what aliens are. And that, of course, also led to the direction of fiction. It's complete fiction, basically, because we've seen it in so many movies, and that can't be real, right? It's just a movie. So I've never seen a UFO myself, but I have a very good friend who has seen one, and I trust him when he tells me something. And he told me that he saw a silver metallic disc for a few seconds with his smaller cousin, I think, who is 8 years old or something, and see, he saw it too, and they talked about it. But it's also something that he doesn't tell many people, because you get ridiculed for it, so you don't necessarily talk about it so much. Of course, there are loads of hoaxes on the internet, that's like no question. So many people put stuff on YouTube where they think it's something, or they even fake it intentionally. So you have to be very careful when looking at videos on the web. I myself, for instance, I wanted to test that actually, and I put up a video. You can see it on the very bottom of my channel, one of the first videos I have uploaded. It's titled UFO over London or something like this, but it was a huge Zeppelin with loads of lights on it, basically, and it looked so interesting. I just filmed it and put it up just to test what happens, and it's just amazing. You get loads of views, and that's why a lot of people do it. They make hoaxes, and they want it to be watched, basically. So that's a real shame, because that ruins the phenomenon as well. But then there are cases that are really interesting. For instance, there's this Rendlesham Forest case. You can type that into Google, and you can find a bit more detail about it. Basically, it was in a forest, I think just northeast above London or something, about 100 kilometers away from the city, where in 2 nights consecutively a UFO appeared, apparently a physical object hovering over a military base in that forest. And then in the second night it even landed, and it was investigated for apparently 45 minutes by some military staff, which are still alive today and give testimony to what happened. And these are credible people, that risk their career and their job by coming forward with a story like this. So that's quite interesting. It's definitely worth looking into this. There are also the Phoenix Lights. That was a phenomenon above Phoenix, the city, I think in Arizona in America, and where apparently a huge, gigantic ship flew over that city, and thousands of people witnessed it. And it was ridiculed by, I think, the mayor at that time or something. There was this whole story, and then 20 years later, after he retired, he went forward to the press and said he really regrets what he did, because he saw the phenomenon as well. But of course, you didn't want to cause mass panic, and that's why he initiated this kind of public ridicule, where he just said, that was nothing, the aliens are coming, and they didn't mention any detail or discuss it in an appropriate manner. So the Phoenix Lights is definitely also something to look into. But when you hear people talking about UFO phenomenon, or things that they have seen or pretend they have seen, you have to consider that most people are not like professional observers. They are not used to observing phenomenon in the sky, and they're not used or trained to identify them. So there's a lot of misconception. Very often you have geographic phenomenon, where the movement of the tectonic plates causes light phenomenon above the Earth because of electrical discharge, and there are various other explanations for phenomenon of lights moving through the sky. just from very natural causes, basically. So that's also something to consider. Don't blindly believe everything you are told, basically. Of course, another thing to mention, or that's worth kind of flagging up, is the spiritual aspect, right? So I think for many people, the belief in UFOs is just another form of religion in a way, because we want to understand where we come from, what created us in the first place, and and the UFO seems to answer that with ancient aliens, and they've been here when we have not even existed, and then they planted us as a race or whatever. So there are various theories, which are interesting, which make up really, really good stories, and I'm not denying them in any way. I'm just saying they exist, and for many people it becomes like a replacement religion where they justify the existence of humans because of the UFOs. So that's a bit, I don't know. It's very often it nearly takes a fanatic shape, and then people behave very fanatically about this topic and become very ignorant, basically, and they cannot accept other people's thoughts, and that's equally bad. The other people laugh about them, and they are very ignorant as well. So you have a bad situation that's not going to change. So people need to be a little bit more open, but at the same time skeptical. That's, I think, the insight I have here. Just try not to laugh at other people when they talk about this kind of stuff. Maybe if they get laughed at, even take their stand, because it's okay to believe things like this. I'm not necessarily a believer. I'm more interested in the story itself. The UFO itself is for me just a great story, which I'm happy to not understand. I'm glad there are things in the world that we just don't know, and I'm happy with this, and I enjoy that very much. So if you or pretend you are respectful and open to other things, then also be open to that. Don't laugh at it. You can have your own opinion, but don't ridicule people. Anyway, guys, I thank you very much. I didn't talk at all about my gameplay here. I'm really sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe leave me a comment with your thoughts. Maybe you had a sighting yourself, or you have seen something that you can explain. Write it underneath. I see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.